Brian Branch. I think I'm in love. Dog. I think I'm in love. This guy, he is going to be, speaking about All-Pro, and I know it sounds a little Kool-Aid-ish to giving out All-Pros to all these guys, but I think Brian Branch, and you would even agree, Sam Flannel, he's got the talent to be one one day. And he's a hell of a player immediately, day one. And his defensive rookie of the year odds just keep increasing. So get in on that right now. I think, who sent it? Brady, I believe, who works in sales for us, kind of gave us the updates. Like plus 1,800 right now, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, pretty friendly odds for a guy that I think still has a chance to contend for the award. Now, I wanted to bring up some interesting stats that I thought, it matters when you talk about a big picture. But I'll wait to do that. And I want to go to Sam first on this. For Brian Branch, defensive rookie of the year race, you got some pretty good candidates. You got Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. I think Devon Witherspoon is going to be in that race. Realistically, what are his chances? Be honest with me, Sam.
No, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think his chances are pretty good. Right now, I would say the front runner has to be Jalen Carter. He's playing like the best defensive tackle in the NFL right now. 20 pressures, hits, sacks. I mean, he's done it all, basically. Tackles for loss. Jalen Carter has been wrecking games for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then you got Will Anderson, who... he's played very, very well, but he hasn't put up the sack numbers quite that I thought he would. Christian Gonzalez was a contender, but it looks like he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And then you look at what Devon Witherspoon did last night. That kind of game can catapult you from being not in the race to in the race. 2 sacks and 1 pick six in a game in which the Seattle Seahawks defense completely dominated. But Brian Branch, I would say right now, I would probably put him at second in my defensive rookie of the year race with his 25 tackles, his 21 solo tackles, his pick six. He's one of the highest pass deflections when it comes to rookies in the NFL. Brian Branch has been an absolute game wrecker, and he's been so important to this Lions defense. In 3 out of the 4 games, in game 1 against Kansas City, he had the pick six. In game 3, he had that game which he had 11 tackles, 11 solo tackles, 2 pass deflections, and 3 tackles for loss. And in the last game where he actually went out hurt for part of it, he led the team in tackles as well. So I'm not saying that he's necessarily going to win it, but the fact that he basically has the combination of flying to the football and making tackles, the big splash plays, and I would say right now in terms of defensive backs, even though Christian Gonzalez has played well and Devon Witherspoon has played well, he has been the best rookie defensive back so far. And the only rookie player that I would have ahead of him is probably Jalen Carter. So right now he would be number 2 on my list.
Yeah, and Jalen Carter, trust me, he's been a game wrecker for the Eagles. And for a defensive line that I thought was going to regress to some extent, losing Hargraves, no, they're pretty much on the same level. They got Jordan Davis, they have Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter should be the favorite, but I think second should be Brian Branch at this point. And you know what's more interesting? Like, yeah, Defensive Rookie of the Year, that's big time. But let's look at the bigger picture. And Lucas, I sent you 2 screenshots I want you to put up whenever you get the chance to. It's a comparison between 2 players. One of them being Brian Branch, Detroit Lions rookie, drafted 45th overall. Safety out of Alabama. The second one, another safety out of Alabama, Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was drafted 11th overall, who's one of the better, if not the best safety in the NFL. 3-time All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. I went and looked at his first 4 games of his rookie year. This is the 11th overall selection. Reminder, their stats are very, very similar. All right? Minkah Fitzpatrick, through 4 games of his NFL career to start, drafted again, 11th overall. 29 tackles, 1 interception, and the top one is Minkah, the bottom one is Brian Branch, for those who it gets a little confusing. So I'll go through Minkah because he's the top one. 29 tackles combined, 1 interception, not for a touchdown, 3 pass deflections. Again, 11th overall. Brian Branch, 25 tackles, 1 interception, returned for a touchdown, and 4 pass deflections. 0 sacks for either player. Now, think about that for a second.
Let that sink in. Let that marinate.
Let that sink in. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 3-time All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. Like, Defensive Rookie of the Year, yeah, cool. Like, that's I hope he contends for it. I hope he wins it. But let's look at the bigger picture. You have another dude. Like, this is a guy that's going to be a big part of your defense for a long time. And look at the tackle for losses. Glad you brought that up, Justin. I appreciate you. 3 tackles for losses for Brian Branch, 0 through his first 4 games for Minkah Fitzpatrick. They don't play the exact same. Brian, I think, is he especially has been living in backfields ever since Alabama. That's kind of his specialty. He's kind of a jack of all trades. He's great against the run. He's pretty damn good in pass coverage. He's all over the field making plays. And one of those, of course, against Patrick Mahomes, picked off Patrick, his first interception on the season. Brian Branch, man, like we could talk all day about his odds to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, and it's fun and all that. But screw that. Like, I'm talking for the future. You have a stud. Think about that for a second, Sam Flannel. Minkah Fitzpatrick. Pretty damn good safety.
I mean, honestly, when you look at the rookie numbers, especially given draft value, but I'm going to take draft value out of it because then it would obviously be Brian Branch. Brian Branch has had a better start to his career than Minkah Fitzpatrick did. And you have to remember about Minkah Fitzpatrick. He was very, very good to start his career with Miami, but he didn't quite become the Minkah Fitzpatrick that we know today until he got traded to Pittsburgh. And now we all pretty much recognize him as a top 3 safety in the game at worst, and maybe the best safety in the game. And that is the kind of trajectory I could see for Brian Branch. And I'm not saying that I'm calling for him to be the best safety in the game anytime soon, but when it comes to defensive backs, I called for all pros when it came to Brian Branch. I said even in this secondary that is loaded with very good players, Brian Branch is the one whose ceiling is the highest. I think when it's all said and done of all of the secondary players on the Lions right now, Brian Branch will have the best career. If we're kind of preemptively talking about gold jacket guys, I know a lot of people talk about Penei Sewell, talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown, some talk about Aiden Hutchinson. I think you could maybe add Brian Branch to the list if he continues at the level that he's been playing so far this season. And the thing about him too is that I don't see him falling off. I don't see this as like a fugazi because coming into the NFL, what did we all say about him? He's a smart, technically sound football player. He does every single thing that you want to do well at least a B+ level. But what you've seen from him this year is that he has the ceiling to be the best safety in the game. He has the ceiling to be one of the better corners in the game if that's what he decides to be, at least a nickel corner. So, I mean, Brian Branch, as I said before, has a very good combination of being a technically sound player, a fundamentally sound player that also has the flair for the big plays, the tackles for loss, the pick sixes. And I don't know. I think this season, at the absolute worst, he is going to be on the all-rookie team. But he might even be fighting for a Pro Bowl at the end of the year if he continues how he's played so far.
Yeah, and that's the thing that impresses me the most about Brian Branch, Lucas, is like his maturity. Like, he's already like a veteran, a seasoned vet. It seems like. Yeah, there's going to be rookie mistakes, but the way he plays, the physicality he plays with. Again, it's going back to where he came from, which is being a starter in Nick Saban's defense all throughout his collegiate career. Tons of experience for Brian Branch.
No, and that's what's going to be huge for this Lions team because as the NFL goes on, it's only going to get more pass heavy, more pass heavy, more pass heavy. And the league's only going to get more athletic and more athletic and more athletic. And when you have a Swiss Army knife like Brian Branch, who's intelligent as he is, it's going to make the difference for this team because now you don't have to worry about filling out your whole secondary because now you have a potential safety, a potential corner. You have room to just branch off Brian Branch of, and that's why this defense is going to be kind of what we were saying about Penei Sewell. Obviously, they're not the same position, but the fact that you can build around a guy like Brian Branch who's behind Aiden Hutchinson, you're going to have a constant playmaker in the run and pass game. The 3 tackles for loss. That is so huge when you're talking about a team that you're kind of thin at cornerback. The fact that you can have a safety go up there and help out your corners so now they don't have to worry about shedding blocks as fast. He makes an impact on every phase of the game, and he's only continue to get better and better. And the way the NFL is going, Brian Branches is starting to be true luxuries. Like finding a nickelback that can just truly lock everything down is like finding a 3-down running back. It's just somebody you can always depend on. He can impact all phases of the game.
Yeah, I mean, and someone said in the chat, like, go comp him to Honey Badger. Like, Honey Badger's rookie year, and he missed the last 3 games, but Honey Badger had a pretty good rookie year, and I believe he was in contention for Defensive Rookie of the Year. But it is a year that I could see Brian Branch having. Like, in 13 games, Honey Badger had 2 picks, 9 pass deflections, a forced fumble, a sack. That seemed like Honey Badger, and it's a great comparison because he's kind of the guy that's always been just a jack of all trades too. Like, Brian Branch is the next great safety in the NFL, and you found him. And Honey Badger was drafted in 3rd round. Brian Branch was drafted at 45. Like, He is a guy that should have been a first-round pick. I believe Brad had him in his first-round bucket of like 14 players. Like, he. Again, like, and then for this comment, marked Royal, Branch played nickel so he can make plays in the backfield. Rather have him there than safety. 100% marked. Like, that's it right there. He's an extension. He's like he's a sub linebacker / safety / corner / everything. And that's what you want on this defense. That's what this defense needed. This defense was already one of the worst secondaries. They were one of the worst against the run. They showed promise last year, but you got a secondary player who can do it all, Sam.
Yeah.
Who's damn good at it all.
Yeah.
It's rare to find in some guys.
I mean, and you can argue that this season, I would probably argue in favor of Aiden Hutchinson, that Brian Branch has been the best defensive player on the team. And we're going to talk a little bit later how much this defense has improved this year over last year. And one of the things that has changed is Brian Branch has came in and he wasn't there last year. And think about this, guys. And I'm going to mention one of your favorite players too, Lucas. This draft class has also included Sam Laporta, who is on pace to have an 1,000-yard season as a tight end. And he still isn't the standout of this class so far. It is Brian Branch. Because Brian Branch this year is playing like one of the better defensive backs in all of football. As not just rookies, like defensive backs total. He has been an absolute revelation.
And think about that. And even this comment, Steve, defense goes from worst to top 10. And the point I just made about that, I would argue Brian has a lot to do with that. He had the additions. Cam Sutton, I would say, another one. There's obviously unsung heroes, but a guy like Brian Branch, like a rookie, to impact your defense like he has is absurd. So, again, all credit goes to Brad Holmes and for the coaching staff and Nick Saban, too, for getting this dude ready. So, again, he's going to have a great career in Detroit. Hopefully he sticks around for a long time. Let's go to break. When we come back, I do want to ask the question, which coordinator